Well, a source coming in from Napoli is informing us that Arsenal is interested in Scott McTominay come this summer. Smash the like button, comment, and share. If you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really in here to see to it that you guys see us put out a second video of the day here onto the channel, and we will see what your thoughts are about it. You're going to be talking about Dayot Upamecano and Carl Palmer, a man who scored a hat-trick over the weekend when Chelsea was beating Wolverhampton Wanderers by 3-1. Continue to subscribe because we want to hit that magic number of 29,000 subscribers onto this channel. And hope you guys will obviously follow up in very well to see to it that we really hit that milestone. Now, I was shocked to land onto this story, and you know what we do? We present you the news, and then you guys give me your reactions after I've gone ahead to give mine. This is the Napoli Arena. They've come out and told us that it is Area Napoli. Arsenal are reportedly considering a move to bring in Scott McTominay back to the Premier League. The midfielder has caught the Gunners' attention again after an impressive spell in Italy, with his form putting him back on the radar of English clubs. McTominay joined Napoli in the summer of 2024 for £26 million and has since established himself as a key figure in that midfield. Now, Scott McTominay is an average player. He's not that exceptional player that you think you'd obviously bring into your team to obviously maybe improve it and take it to the next level. I think at his level as a player, he can act as an understudy. And he's at Napoli getting in ample playing time. Can he accept to be an understudy at Arsenal? You know? I don't think so. And secondly, Arsenal is looking for him because he's that player that you can obviously play into that Declan Rice role. Because whatever Declan Rice gets you, especially going forward, I don't think that he has defensive attributes like those of Declan Rice, but I think going forward, Scott McTominay is better. You saw him at Man United. Every time he crosses the 18-yard box area of the opponent, he's a good driver of the ball, you know. He can shoot from outside, you know. He can obviously put there a physical battle, you understand? And he scores goals. Being a player who is really that tall, a towering lad, you know, you obviously expect him to be contributing a lot in the set pieces. He's 1.93, meaning that he's even taller than Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba, and it will make him the tallest player at the club of Arsenal, meaning that his presence will do a lot in that midfield. And that means that if he comes in through, then they would have gone ahead to strengthen their midfield much more better. And I think the manager will look at him and say, I'm really having a player in Declan Rice, because I think they're having almost the same attributes. At Man United, why I wanted us to sell Scott McTominay was because they were considering him to be a CDM, yet for me, I never saw anything CDM-like in him. You get? And I was the chief campaigner to see to it that Scott McTominay leaves Man United. But if you're a club like Arsenal, already established, and you need those players that have gone ahead to win all on different continents, because at Man United, Scott McTominay went ahead, I think, to lift the FA Cup. Did he win the UEFA Europa League with Jose Mourinho? He has won the Carabao Cup with Eric Ten Hag. And he has gone to Napoli, and he has gone ahead to win what we call the league, and I think the FA Cup in there for you. So it sends you a message that Arsenal, if they get in Scott McTominay, they are getting in a winner. But for me, I think the most important reason as to why Arsenal is looking out for Scott McTominay is that he can come in through and do that Declan Rice role. Guys, if you look at the minutes that Declan Rice is really playing, you know, they're really abnormal. Meaning that you will need that player that even if you want Declan Rice to play 30 minutes in the game, you throw him in and he can obviously give you exactly what Declan Rice really gives you, and that is Scott McTominay. Very many Arsenal fans will be like, from Sandro Tonali to Scott McTominay. I think for Sandro Tonali, maybe Arsenal is bringing him in as a person to compete with Martin Zubimendi in that CDM position. That is it. You get? And Scott McTominay, from him, I don't think that he's that kind of player that will come in through at an expensive price. Being 29 and turning 30 this year in December, I think he will be a much more cheaper option. He'll be like a Nogard. You get? I know they can get him for like 30, not like 12 like Nogard, but that means you go in and pay like £100 million for Sandro Tonali and get in more 30 for Scott McTominay. That is 130. You are getting in two players who will obviously strengthen that midfield of Arsenal. Because when you look at Arsenal, I think they do have two positions to obviously strengthen. That is in the midfield, because we might see a departure. Obviously, Nogard might leave. We're going to hate to see Ajax pointing at him. Then you might see off a player called maybe Martinelli. All Leandro Trossard leaving the club of Arsenal, meaning that a left forward and a central midfielder are going to be key signings for the club of Arsenal come this summer. Scott McTominay really got a nomination in the Ballon d'Or because of his season he really had at Napoli. Last season, 34 games, 12 goals in the Serie A and 3 assists. And this season, 23 games, 6 goals and 3 assists. In the Champions League, this season, 2025-2026, 8 games and 4 goals. So you'll be having that goal machine in you. And I think the other factor as to why they need him, he's a guy who kills off big games. He scores very many goals when it comes to those big games in there for you. And for Scott, I think that will really make a lot of sense for him, because in such moments, that's when teams like Arsenal really need to thrive. Like when you're playing against Man City, Scott McTominay can really be a very big player. A very good player. When he's playing against big teams, he turns out to be one of the best in there for you. So that is Scott McTominay for you, being linked to the club of Arsenal. So we wait and see how that pans out. But I think if he accepts to be an understudy after Arteta talks to him, I think then Arsenal can bring him in and he can obviously allow to return to the Premier League. But remember, there are teams like Spurs who want him and they want to see him as a starter into their teams. And there is also Newcastle. I think they are smelling losing out players, and they are like, we can lose Sandro Tonali and obviously get in Scott McTominay in there. And for Arsenal, the other factor that I think they're looking at to bring him in is that the lad is a Premier League proven player. Premier League proven player who can come in through and obviously hit the ground running in that midfield of Arsenal. So we wait and see whether this area Napoli is really credible. That is it. But all in all, I really understand that it's really going to be a hard one for Arsenal to bring in a player like him. But when a team reaches at the level where Arsenal is, they tend to bring in these players that I think are going to be what we call squad players. Not starters, but squad players who can obviously do the job if at all the starter into that particular position is really out. And the other factor that I think we can add on, he's a versatile player. You can play him as a CDM. You can play him as a box-to-box midfielder. You can also play him as a false number 9 in there. He also plays in defense. If you're going to hate to see him play at Scotland, there is a time where he played in the back three, where we had a manager who played the back three, and Scott McTominay was played as a central defender. So I think versatility is really very important. When you look at the situation in which Arsenal is in right now, you know, they're really having a Merino out. If they had a Scott McTominay in, would have gone ahead to do the needful for them. So we wait and see how things really pan out for Scott McTominay to Arsenal, and then we will be letting you know about what it will be like. But I've dropped the first hint and I've given you my opinion, but I'm rating this transfer 40 out of 60. It's not even a 50 in there for you. So that shows you that it is not yet at a level that many of us will say it's really happening. At 60, it's at 40% for me. I don't know at what percentage it is for you, but Arsenal want to really bring back Scott McTominay to the Premier League. Then, exclusive from Fabrizio Romano, Dayot Upamecano approves new deal at Bayern Munich. Clubs interested are informed. He's set to sign a new contract soon at FC Bayern. Happy to stay as huge boost for the club. After big efforts from club and players side to make it happen, it will be valid until 2030. Now, I've never rated Dayot Upamecano. I tell you, I've never. Because he's an erratic defender. Very erratic. And if you look at clubs interested in him, Man United, Manchester United, right? It's United was interested, Liverpool, Real Madrid, who else? You know? I cannot at any one point really see why teams were really interested in this guy. And I think for Real Madrid, they showed interest in Dayot Upamecano because he was a free agent and they wanted to obviously get in yet another player on free like they did with Rudiger, Tokov, Trent, Alexander-Arnold, although they had to pay some money because he had to participate in the Club World Cup before his contract had to expire. You understand? So, I think that is it for people like him. You understand? So, I don't rate him. That's why, even when you look at the French national team, you know, with Saliba's present, it's very hard for him to get into that team if at all the defenders of France are really available. Though Deschamps really loves him, but I don't rate Dayot Upamecano. I don't know why. I don't hate him, but I don't rate him highly. That's what I can tell you. He's a player that I think doesn't tick, you know, those boxes of a player that I think should be playing for a big team. So, he's going to be kept at Bayern until 2030. That is it. So, we wait and see how that pans out. You know, the Konates and the Salibas are really ahead of him. But Bayern had to fight a lot because they've been in this for some long time. Remember, even with Alphonso Davies, even towards the end of last summer, they were into discussions as Real Madrid was sweet-talking him to obviously come and join him for free, you know. So, they managed to convince him to stay, and I think Bayern has gone ahead, obviously, win that war again in there for you. But for Gretzka, I think they're willing to obviously let him go as a free agent in the summer because of his age. I think he's now 30 plus, so there is no reason of really keeping him around, yet they can really replace him in there for you. And we leave that Upamecano in there for you, and let's go to the hat-trick goal scorer. That is Cole Palmer, one of my favorites, number 10s in the world, in there. So, Cole Palmer has come out and said, I'm not here to make excuses, and I will get over the injuries. I know what I can do when I'm fit, and hopefully I can get back to that soon. For now, I just manage it and get there. So, to me, he's really very, very good. And if you ask me of a player that I really admire and really cherish a lot, it's none other than him. I love the player in Cole Palmer. I just love him. And when I read the story that he wants to come to Man United, I was like, get him in. Though I think it's really going to be hard for Chelsea to really let him leave. And even if they let him go, the amount of money involved in his deal will be really ridiculous in here for you. So I call upon for your reactions in the comment section below. Arsenal interested in Scott McTominay, Dayot Upamecano to stay at Bayern Munich, and lastly, what do you make about Cole Palmer? Confidence building up, huge, large, and better. I'm out. Bye-bye. Waiting for your reactions in the comment section below, and continue to subscribe to my channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Bye-bye. Ciao, ciao.